I remember those days as if they were yesterday. Mom, Dad, and me. Megan. A perfect little family. We were not wealthy or famous, just ordinary people living their best lives. Dad worked as an accountant. The numbers varied, but he'd light up when he got home. Mom was a teacher who shared knowledge and kindness wherever she went. We'd spend weekends exploring the countryside, packing into our beat-up station wagon and hitting the road. Dad would blast his favorite oldies, and Mom would sing along horribly off-key, but she didn't care. I'd sit in the back, rolling my eyes, but secretly enjoying every moment of it. The road trips were the best. We'd go to dingy diners and order greasy burgers and share a huge milkshake. Mom would always take my fries, claiming injustice and testing them for poison, sweetie dot. When we were traveling, we would visit the local mall. I dragged them from store to store, making them try on ridiculous outfits and beg for the newest toys. Mom was the voice of reason, while Dad was a softie. He sneaked a few extra bucks when Mom wasn't looking, whispering our little secret. Fridays were pizza nights. We'd order, then sprawl out on the living room floor to watch cheesy movies. Dad would try to explain the plot lines. Mom would show him, and I would stuff my face with pepperoni, unconcerned about anything. But now is the time. When I was 11 years old, my mother began to feel constantly tired. At first, we didn't think much of it. Ultimately, teaching is exhausting. But then came the doctor visits, the concerned whispers, and the hushed phone calls. I didn't understand what was going on. No one told me anything, but I could feel a change in the air. The laughter grew less frequent. The road trips ended, and pizza nights were replaced by quiet, tense dinners. One night, I overheard Dad on the phone, his voice cracking as he spoke. "The treatments are effective, Mike. I'm not sure what we're going to do." That quote when I realized something was seriously wrong with Mom, and our idyllic little world was about to crumble. I wish I could return to those happy days, freeze time, and remain in that blissful ignorance forever. But life does not work that way. The storm was approaching, and there was nothing I could do to prevent it. For now, I close my eyes and try to recall the good times. The scent of Mom's perfume, the sound of Dad's laughter, and the taste of Friday night pizza. These are the only memories I have left of the life I once led, the life I desperately want to return to. It happened on Tuesday. I remember because it was pizza night, but there was no pizza, no laughter, and no mother. Just silence. And the terrible beeping of hospital machines. "Megan, sweetheart," Dad spoke, his voice cracking. "Mom, she's gone," just like that. My world crumbled. "I am awesome, Mom." My best friend was gone. I could not breathe, could not think. I just stood there, numb, while Dad hugged me. His tears soaked my hair. The next few weeks were a blur of black clothes, quiet voices, and phone calls. I could not bring myself to eat. I kept waiting for Mom to come through the door and tell me it was all a bad dream, but she never did. Then, about 6 months later, we lost Mom. Something changed, and people started going out more. I thought he was improving until I saw her. She was tall, blonde, and nothing like Mom. Her name was Karen, and she had a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Megan, this is Karen," Dad said, looking nervous. "We have been seeing each other." I could not believe it. Mom hadn't even gotten cold in her grave before he replaced her. Karen bent down, her face inches from mine. "Hello, Megan. I have heard so much about you." Karen, CS smile faded when her father was not looking. Her eyes turned cold and calculating. At that point, I knew this woman was in trouble. Karen was constantly on the move for the following weeks. She'd come over for dinner, watch TV with us, and even offer to help me with my homework. But as soon as Dad turned his back, the mask slipped. "Listen, child," she hissed. "One day, we were alone. I am here to stay. Don't try to mess this up for me." I tried to tell Dad that I really did, but he just shook his head. "Megan, I understand this is difficult for you, but Karen is a good person. You are just jealous. Maybe we should get you to speak with someone." Jealous? I could not believe it. My own father thought I was making things up. Before I knew it, I was sitting in a therapist's office, being told that I had adjustment issues and struggled with change. Karen had somehow persuaded everyone. I was concerned about my father, our relatives, and even the neighbors. Megan is a poor person. I'd overhear Karen on the phone saying she's having a hard time. "There are mental problems. We're getting her the assistance she needs. Dot. Then came the shocker. A year and a half after Mom died, Dad broke the news. Megan, Karen, and I are getting married. We figured it would be best if you spent the summer at camp to allow you some time to adjust. But I knew the truth. They were sending me away so I wouldn't ruin their perfect day with my sour expression. As Karen put it, I left for camp with a heavy heart, knowing that when I returned, everything would have changed. My home would no longer be mine. My family was evolving, and there was nothing I could do about it. I returned from camp with a knot in my stomach. The house appeared to be the same from the outside, but as soon as I stepped inside, I realized everything had changed. Welcome home, Megan. Karen replied, her smile not reaching her eyes. We need to discuss room arrangements. Willie must make some changes in preparation for the baby. My head spun. Baby? What baby? Dad's face lightened up. That's correct. You're not aware that Karen is pregnant. You are going to be a big sister. Karen led me upstairs, discussing nursery colors and baby names. We arrived in my room, or what used to be my room. We started converting it into a nursery. Karen said, pushing the door open. My heart sank. My posters were gone, replaced by pastel wallpaper. My desk had vanished, and in its place stood a crib. Where is my stuff? I managed to choke out. Karen waved dismissively. Oh, we've moved you to the guest room. Regardless, it's cozier. The guest room was barely larger than a closet. My belongings were piled half feasibly on the bed. Some boxes are still sealed. This is only temporary, right? I inquired, looking at Dad. He refused to meet my gaze. Maggie has a new baby. I received the message. I was being pushed outside, replaced. The following few months were a blur of doctor visits, baby showers, and my attempt to shrink myself. Karen's belly grew, and so did her control over our lives. Then, one crisp autumn morning, my younger brother was born. Despite everything, when I held him for the first time, I felt an overwhelming sense of love. I had a brief moment of optimism that things would improve. But Karen had different plans. Megan would say, be careful, and snatch him away. You drove him, or he's sleeping now. Maybe you'll see him later. There was always an excuse, an explanation for why I couldn't spend time with my brother. Dad was too preoccupied with work and the new baby to remember the past. I threw myself into school and counted the days until I could leave for college. My brother grew into a sweet, inquisitive child, but Karen kept our interactions limited. Finally, my senior year began. One night, I overheard Karen and Dad arguing. She needs to learn responsibility. Karen insisted that getting a job right after high school would benefit her. Dad's voice was firm. No, Sarah wanted her to attend college. We saved money for it. Megan is going. I had never been more grateful to my father for standing up for me. When my acceptance letter arrived, I cried with relief. I was getting out. I was going to start my own life free of Karen's manipulations on moving day. Dad helped me pack the car. Karen and my brother stayed at home. Maggie, I'm proud of you, Dad said, hugging me goodbye. Your mother would be too. As I drove away, watching my childhood home vanish in the rearview mirror, I felt a mix of sadness and hope. I was leaving behind my only home and the little brother I'd never really gotten to know. But I was also aiming for freedom, toward a future in which I can be myself without Karen's shadow hanging over me. College felt like a breath of fresh air after years of suffocation. I immersed myself in my studies, determined to make something of myself. Advertising became my passion, a world where creativity and strategy intersected, allowing me to finally express myself freely. Even as I reveled in my newfound independence, there was a persistent ache in my heart. My little brother, who was only 6 when I left, was growing up without me. During my rare visits home, I'd catch glimpses of the amazing child he was becoming. Megan, look at what I drew, he'd exclaim, showing me his most recent masterpiece. I would ruffle his hair, enjoying these fleeting moments. It's awesome, buddy. You are quite the artist. Karen would always interrupt, whisking him away for some urgent task or another. The distance between us widened with each passing year. Graduation day arrived with bittersweet triumph as I stood in my cap and gown, scanning the audience. I realized Dad and Karen were present. Later, a brief text arrived. Congratulations on your graduation, Dad Karen. It's over, but I won't let it dampen my spirit. I had a future to build. Thanks to my internships and portfolio, I was able to secure a position at a trendy advertising agency in town. Grandma, Mom's mother, and my guardian angel assisted me in securing a small but comfortable apartment. Your mother would be very proud, she said, pressing a check into my palm. This is for rent. She always wished you a good start. Life fell into a comfortable rhythm. Work was challenging but rewarding. I made friends, went on dates, and gradually began to heal the wounds of my past. For 3 years, I lived in relative peace, with only the occasional awkward holiday visit to disrupt the peace. Suddenly, my phone rang. Dad's name flashed across the screen. Megan, this is Dad. I have some news. We sold our house and bought a new one, bigger and more modern. I was hopeful. Would you be willing to assist us with our relocation? It might be a good opportunity for us to reconnect. I was speechless. After years of distance, this unexpected olive branch felt surreal. Karen would be delighted to see you too, he added. I question that. Your brother Megan is now 12 years old. He always asks about you. I closed my eyes and weighed my options. Part of me wanted to refuse to protect myself from further harm, but there's another part. The part of me that still misses my family and wishes for reconciliation won out. Okay, I said finally, I will come, prayed. Dad's relief was palpable. I will text you the address. See you this weekend. My emotions swirled as I packed my weekend bag, hope mixed with anxiety and excitement with dread. Whatever happened, this visit would alter everything. I wasn't sure if it would be for the better or worse. I pulled up to the address, my jaw dropped to the side. The house was huge, all clean lines and modern architecture. It didn't look like the cozy house I grew up in. Taking a deep breath, I approached the front door and rang the doorbell. Dad opened dead with a hesitant smile. Maggie, you made it. Hello, Dad, I said, stepping inside. Karen appeared behind him, her smile as plastic as always. Megan, how kind of you to come, she said, her tone implying anything, but I looked around, hoping to see my brother. Oh, he is staying with my parents for the weekend. Karen cut in smoothly. We figured it would be easier to move without him underfoot. The expression in her eyes told me everything. This was deliberate. She made sure my brother wasn't here, denying me even this small chance to reconnect with him. Swallowing my disappointment and anger, I forced a smile. So, where should I start? For the next several hours, I immersed myself in the work. I scrubbed the floors, rearranged furniture, and hung curtains. It was easier than trying to strike up a conversation with Dad or dealing with Karen's fake pleasantries. I was sorting through some boxes in the study. I came across a collection of framed photographs. My heart stopped as I recognized a specific frame. It was a portrait of Mom that used to hang in my childhood bedroom. Her smile shone through the dust as she clutched the photograph. I walked into the living room where Dad and Karen were talking about paint colors. Dad? I spoke, my voice trembling slightly. Why is Mom's photo in a pile of junk? Dad's face fell, a mix of guilt and sadness etched across his features. He opened his mouth to say something, but Karen spoke first. I quote, "V heard that before," she said dismissively. We decided that those photos didn't go with the new decor. Do you think they're a little superfluous? Superfluous. The word, it hit me like a slap. My mother's memory was reduced to an out-of-date decoration. Superfluous, I repeated with a dangerously low voice. This is my mom. Your wife, I added, looking at Dad. Dad, at least you had the decency to show shame. Megan, we did not mean it. But I was already on the move, gathering every photo I could find of my mother. I found her old jewelry box and a few of her books with no words. I carried them to my car, ignoring Karen's protests and Dad's feeble attempts to explain, and placed the last item in my trunk. I felt a storm of emotions threatening to overwhelm me, including rage at Karen's callousness, disappointment in Dad's spinelessness, and a deep, aching sadness for the mother I'd lost and the family that appeared beyond repair. I slammed the trunk shut, the sound echoing throughout the quiet street. For a moment, I considered getting into my car and driving away, leaving this mess behind once and for all. But something stopped me. Perhaps it was a memory of Mom. Her voice in my head told me to stay strong. Perhaps it was the thought of my younger brother, whom I hadn't seen yet. Perhaps it was just sheer stubbornness. Refusing to let Karen win whatever it was, I walked back into the house. Karen was nowhere to be found. Probably hiding to avoid a confrontation. Dad stood in the hallway, seemingly lost. So I returned to cleaning. I tried not to think about Dad's betrayal as I was about to leave. Dad grabbed my arm. Megan, please wait. There is something else. I turned and raised an eyebrow. What happens now? He shifted uncomfortably. We're hosting a housewarming party in a few days. We would greatly appreciate your assistance. Before I could reply, Karen swooped in, her voice dripping with pure sweetness. Oh, Megan, we could really use your help. Maybe you could do the catering. I'll take care of the cleaning, invitations, and general organization. I opened my mouth to say no, but Dad jumped in. Thank you, Maggie. All of our relatives and friends will be there. We cannot function without you. Despite everything, his pleading eyes wore me down, and a part of me wanted to make him happy. Fine. I exhaled. I'll help with the food. I will even pay for it myself. Karen smiled wider. Wonderful. We're thinking about an Italian theme. You know, Kristen, the new kitchen. I nodded. An idea is forming. I actually know the best Italian restaurant. I'll order from there. Quality guaranteed. Karen's eyes narrowed slightly. What is the name of the restaurant? Bella nods. I responded while keeping a close eye on her. She nodded with satisfaction. That sounds perfect. We'll leave it in your capable hands. As I drove home, I couldn't shake the sense that something was wrong. Karen's sudden agreeableness was suspicious, but I ignored it, concentrating on the task at hand. I spent the next few days planning the perfect menu. I called my friend Maria, who owns Bella, rather than Megan. It has been too long. She responded cheerfully. Hello, Maria. I need a favor. My father is having a housewarming party, and I'm in charge of the food. Do you think you can help me out? Anything? What are your thoughts? We spent an hour creating the ideal Italian spread. Dessert options include antipasti platters, handmade pastas, and tiramisu. The works. I didn't spare any expense. I wanted to prove that I was capable of handling this responsibility. After placing the order, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Despite everything, a small part of me hoped that this party would mark a turning point. Perhaps we could begin to heal our fractured family. The next week dragged on, but I kept myself busy with work. But my thoughts often turned to the upcoming party. I double-checked the order to ensure it was perfect. The day before the housewarming party, my phone rang. No comma. It was Maria from Bella. Hello, Megan. I'm a little confused. Your stepmother called yesterday and asked to reschedule the food delivery for today. Has the party date changed? My heart sank. What? No, it's supposed to happen tomorrow. Oh. Maria sounded concerned. So I wanted to double-check with you before making any changes. I thanked her, my mind racing after we hung up. I immediately called Karen. My suspicions are on high alert. Hello, Karen. I just wanted to confirm the party details for tomorrow, I said, keeping my tone neutral. Oh yes, everything is set for tomorrow at 7 p.m., she responded smoothly. We're looking forward to it, I say to her, and ended the call, my hands shaking with anger and disbelief. It was clear now Karen had tried to change the delivery date behind my back. She wanted me to miss the party entirely. Taking a deep breath, I called Maria back. Hey, it's me again. I need to cancel the order, I said, my voice tight. Cancel. But Megan, are you sure? It's a lot of food and it's all paid for. I understand. Keep the payment. Consider it a gift. Use the food for the restaurant if you can. After hanging up, I sat in stunned silence. The betrayal stung, but a part of me wasn't surprised. This was classic Karen, always finding new ways to push me out. That same evening, curiosity got the better of me. I opened my social media and saw my cousin was live streaming from the party. There it was, the house warming in full swing happening right now, a day early. I watched a mix of hurt and anger building inside me as Karen showed off the new house. She prepped for the camera, pointing out design features that accepting compliments from the guests. Suddenly, a voice off camera asked, "Where's Megan?" I thought she'd be here. Karen's face changed, a look of false concern replacing her smile. Oh, you know, Megan, she's always been a bit unsociable. Some mental health issues. Poor dear. She said she couldn't make it. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. Mental health issues, unsociable. The life slowed so easily from her lips. Karen quickly changed the subject, steering the conversation back to the house. Now, who's ready for some amazing Italian food? It should be here any minute. The guests cheered and Karen beamed at the camera. Half an hour passed, and I could see the guests starting to look restless. Karen's smile became strained as she kept assuring everyone that food would arrive any minute now. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the live stream. Karen's perfectly crafted facade was crumbling before my eyes. Her smile had turned to a grimace as she dialed the restaurant's number, the speakerphone amplifying every word for the assembled guests. Hello, Bella. This is Karen. Where are our food orders? The response was unequivocal and devastating. I apologize, ma'am, but Megan canceled that order earlier today. There will not be any deliveries. Karen's face was contorted with rage. What? That little? She shrieked and turned to face my father. Call Megan right now. Dad appears flustered. He pulled out his phone. I watched, heart racing, as he dialed my number. When I answered, his voice boomed over the speakerphone. Megan, how could you cancel the food order? You have ruined everything. I took a deep breath and replied calmly. Father, why did you change the date of the housewarming? Why was I not invited? The room went silent. His face turned pale as he stammered. I'd we? Karen said. Murmurs echoed throughout the crowd. Guests exchanged meaningful glances, suspecting Karen and Dad. Karen snatched the phone from Dad's hand. Unthankful brat, she screeched. After all we've done for you, you're trying to sabotage us, right? I listened to her rant for a moment before responding. My voice is steady and clear. I believe everyone in this family can now see who has serious mental health issues, and it is not me. Karen's hysterical shouting filled the room, but I could tell the damage had been done. Guests were backing away, with some already heading for the door. Karen, I'm done being your scapegoat, I stated firmly. And Dad, I'm tired of watching you choose her over your own daughter. Goodbye. I ended the call and stopped the live stream. My hands shook, but my resolve remained strong. It was over. Lies and manipulation. Everything is laid bare for all to see. In the days that followed, I ignored the constant barrage of calls and messages from my father and other family members. I needed time to process and heal. A week later, Dad arrived at my apartment. He appeared haggard. His eyes were red-rimmed. Megan, I sincerely apologize, he began. I have been blind. I let Karen control everything, and I lost sight of what was truly important. Please give me an opportunity to make things right. I wanted to slam the door in his face, but something in his expression made me stop. It's not that simple, Father. You abandoned me. You forgot about me. I understand, he said, his voice breaking. But I want to change. I promise to do better. Thank you, Maggie. We slowly and cautiously began to rebuild our relationship. Dad started calling on a regular basis, and we met for coffee once a week. He even brought my younger brother along, sometimes outside of Karen's watchful eye. Karen, I heard, had become something of a family pariah. Her lies were exposed. She retreated into a bitter shell. Months passed, and life fell into a new rhythm. I threw myself into my career, rising through the ranks of the advertising agency. My creativity flourished, fueled by the emotional turmoil I had experienced. I'm not sure what the future holds for my family. The wounds are deep, and healing will take time. But for the first time in years, I'm hopeful. I'm living life on my own terms, pursuing my passions, and gradually allowing love back into my heart. As I look out my apartment window at the city lights, I can almost hear my mother's voice. Maggie, you are stronger than you know, she used to say. And do you know what? She was correct.